Metro, I'm Tia Graham. Romance books have been pretty popular over the last few years. At the same time, more bookstores that only sell books about falling in love have been popping up. So, for our reading recommendations, we are highlighting a romance-focused bookstore in Canton, Michigan. Carolyn Haering opened Mon Coeur just last year. The name means my heart in French, and she says she started the store because she believes the genre allows her to escape into a fun and typically happy story. The Metro's Carrie Jr. II spoke with Haering about her store and couple romance books that she recommends.
Mon Coeur stands for My Heart in French. And so because we are a romance bookstore, I thought it was really fitting.
Why?
My maiden last name is French, and my family is very French. And so for me, it has always been a really big part of who I am is my Frenchness, I guess, is the best way to say that. So I speak horrible French. Do not ask me. my, my but it's something that's really important to me. And so, and the people who are close to me know that if I didn't name it something French, they would have thought something was off.
Mm,
So
okay.
it's it's something that a lot of people who know me know about me.
Now tell me a little bit more about your relationship to novels, romance novels. How did you come to opening a very specific type of bookstore, a romance bookstore?
I was walking in New York. I was wandering around Brooklyn, and I stumbled into this other store called the Rip Bodice, and they only sold romance books. And I thought to myself, like, oh, I wish this was in Metro Detroit. Like, I wish there was one closer. I would be here all the time, because I know everywhere I turned, it was a book that I really felt like I would read. I have always loved romance books, and I always really love that there's always a happy ending, right? You know when you're going into a romance book that the two main characters are going to end up together in some fashion. And so it was one of those things that I really kind of came home and I was talking to my friends and family about it, and it was just kind of, you know, you could be the person to open the store. And I thought me, and so here we are.
You like books that have kind of a happy ending where you kind of know that it's going to resolve itself into this beautiful love story. I'm wondering where that comes from. Why is it that you need to read something that has that kind of clean, you tie the bow on it at the end ending to your stories?
I think, a lot of it has to do that I am a triple Libra. So I'm a person who loves love, right? And so for me, it's one of those things where I really like stories where people are like, there's a lot of books where they're struggling, right? So there's like suspense romance, or there are romances that have a little bit more trauma involved, and you kind of don't know how they're going to get back together. And so it's one of those things, but at least at the end that somehow it will resolve itself. And I think there's just something really nice about that, right? Like, you're not going to get into a book and just be like, oh man, like what just happened? Right? In the sense of like, if you didn't want a book where you get your heart ripped out, you know that it's not, if you pick up a certain type of romance book, that's not going to happen. Right. And so I think it's just, in this day and age, there's a lot going on and there's a lot to deal with. And so if you can kind of escape into a book where it's all going to work out, I think that's kind of comforting.
You're listening to the Metro on 1019 WDET. I'm Carrie Jr. II. My guest is Carolyn Haering. She is the owner of Mon Coeur Bookstore, a romance bookstore located in Canton, Michigan. So Carolyn, have you seen like a certain demand around a certain genre or subgenre of romance books? Have you seen a demand around people shopping at your bookstore in general more recently?
Yeah, so I think the demand is like, there's a lot of books out there that a lot of other bigger stores don't carry, right? Because like the author isn't on the New York Times bestseller list, or they're not very popular in traditional spaces, but they're popular online and they have kind of a cult following and things like that. And so we carry a lot of independent authors, or from smaller independent publishing houses. And so you're not going to find a lot of like the dark romance books in a lot of these bigger stores or other stores because they're not going to carry that genre or have a wide variety of it. And so it's kind of, our whole thing is that we are really supporting authors and supporting people who are telling these stories that people want to read. And so for the most part, I tell people I'm like a wedding DJ. I do take requests. So it's one of those things where, if there's an author that you love and, I'm not aware of them, I will bring them in. Recently someone was like, you have to be reading Brighton Walsh. Brighton Walsh has sweet little small town romances. She's so great. And we did, and she's been doing really well. There are people who are like, you have to bring in Ginger Walls. And so we brought in Ginger Walls books. And so, and she has a college sports romance. And so, I think it really just depends. It always is moving really, really quick because there's like the hot book on the internet and, it changes all the time. So,
Speaking of popular romance stories and sports stories, Heated Rivalry has been a very popular book slash, I guess, series, more so series that kind of expanded the visibility of the book itself. Um, and it makes me, it's kind of brought a conversation to us about what the appetite is for LGBTQ love stories now in romance novels. I'm curious to know from your perspective as a novelist what that has looked like, that shift or transition or expansion of LGBTQ stories, stories from diverse backgrounds, Black stories, Latino love stories. What have you seen on your shelves and from the requests you've had from readers and from shoppers about those types of love stories?
sure. So here at Mon Coeur, LGBTQ stories and diverse voices has always been here and always been here in a wide variety. So was kind of the ethos of opening the store was that I wanted everyone to be able to see themselves in a love story here. It does not matter. So we do offer a really wide LGBTQ section. We have a wide range of African American authors, Latino authors, Asian American authors. People will say, "Have you read so and so?" And I'll be like, "No, but I will," and we'll bring their books in or we'll bring them in for a signing. Like we just had Elle Wright. She is a Michigan-based author, and she wrote The X Dilemma about a Michigan millionaire in Detroit. And so it's really important that we give a space for these voices. And so for me, it's never been about what's on trend. It's about that it's always been here. So, along with Heated Rivalry, there is other great authors like Saxon James, Chips Pons, and Nyla Kay. And so these are authors and stories that have always been here and will always continue to be here.
And now I want to hear your good reads, some recommendations you might have. Do you have two or three books that you think are okay? These are some romance novels that, as you said before, you might not find in those major bookstores that you can find here at your bookstore. That'll get people hooked and get people to believe in love. I guess I don't know. I guess it depends on whether it's a dark romance, whether there's trauma involved. But what do you got for us?
First Time Caller by BK Borison. She just released last week the second book after First Time Caller and Now Back to You. And First Time Caller is about a single mom, and she is just living her life. She's a mechanic, she's enjoying it, but her 12-year-old daughter thinks that she's sad. So her daughter calls a love radio hotline, and so she's talking to the radio show online at night, and the mom comes in and she hears her on the phone. She's like, "Who are you talking to?" And she picks up the phone and she hears a grown man's voice, and he goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! First off, three things: one, you're live on the air; two, it's not what you thought; and three, your daughter called me." And so, and so then she starts talking to him on his radio show, and so what happens is then the producers cut it up, they put it on TikTok, and it kind of goes viral. And so they decide to bring her onto the show to help her find a date. And as it's going, the radio host kind of gets a little grumpy because he's starting to like her.
Well, one, I like the fact that there's radio in in the story, and then there's TikTok, so it's pretty modern, pretty relevant today. I might need to pick one up myself, just to kind of get away from all the news I consume on the regular.
Yeah, I think romance books are such a phenomenal way to escape. And the thing is a lot of these are just for fun and they are just to bring you joy. There's nothing too heavy and if you don't want it. And it's one of those things where I really feel it it really just kind of like makes you feel good. And what's wrong with reading something that just brings you joy and makes you feel good?
Carolyn Haering is the founder of Mon Coeur bookstore located in Canton, Michigan. The Metro is produced by Sam Corey, Carrie Jr. II, Robin Vincent, and me, Tia Graham. Our engineer is Jose Yanis. Music done by Sam Bobian, and our senior producer is David Lyons. If you ever want to go back and listen to a conversation you heard on the Metro or share it with a friend, every single conversation we have on the Metro is available on the Metro's podcast, on Apple's Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. You can follow, subscribe, and leave us a rating or a review. The Metro is a production of WDET, a listener-supported service of Wayne State University. And this is WDET-FM, Detroit Public Radio, your connection to news, music, and conversation. Have a great day.